Hello there folks, Kirk and Jason here with Kirk Giordano Plastering. Today I'm going to tell you everything I know about floating.
This shouldn't take too long.
I know a lot about floating, guys. I used to float behind 2 or 3 guys and never had problems. Okay, I'm going to show you about hydration, about how to do a dark color and not have a whole bunch of ghosting or color variations, bleeding, whatever you want to call it. It's just when you're done with a dark color, you can see all the marks, and you don't want that. But it is not like a painted finish what we're doing. First of all, I'm going to show you something like hydration, guys, because people say, well, how do you know you got enough water on a pillar? And by the way, guys, I'm using this right here. This is a La Habra. It's a finish coat material, and if you see the bag, it says base 200. That just means the color. The color is gray. If it says base 100, that means it's white. And there's about 35 earth tone colors. So on the lighter colors, obviously they're using base 100. On the darker colors, they're using base 200. This 1620, that means the sand, the aggregate. So 1620 is heavy. So what these guys want is, they say, Kirk, we want to make these pillars look pretty. And I said, no problemo, we can handle that. Because if you see the pillars over there, they got marble caps. And obviously these guys got the view. They don't want anything unattractive here. They want some beauty. So first things first. Right here, in this, they had a huge hole. Why? Because when they poured these, they didn't have a concrete vibrator. That just means something that goes in there and it vibrates and it gets all the air pockets out. I filled this up earlier, like about 4 hours, with color coat. Can you fill a hole like that with color coat? Sure you can, but it's got to be dry by the time you're getting ready to work on it, because color coat's only designed to go 1/8 of an inch thick. If you're going fine finish, 16th. If you're going heavy like this, this is about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, hydration first. All right, guys, you hydrate a concrete wall, a brick wall. I'll show you about hydration right now. Now, I'm hydrating that, and I'm going to let that set for about 5 minutes. And here, I'm hydrating this one too. And I'm going to let this set. And I'm showing you this because a lot of people say, well, how do you know when it's done? Well, guys, if it's dripping wet, if it's so wet that it's just, you put your own mud on it and it falls off, that's too wet. And if you notice now, we've been in the hot sun today. It's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and these pillars right here have been in the sun all day. They're about 105 degrees, these, because it's about 100 degrees out here. It's hot. It's perfect, beautiful. I love it. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to cool these pillars off, because when I start to spread this, if it's too dry, what'll happen is it's so dry, I put my first coat on. It sucks the moisture right out of my first coat. It's brittle. It falls off. You can't do that, guy. This one's already dry right here. So the idea is to keep misting them until they're ready. Again, if it dries so fast, don't try to skim coat it. It won't work. It'll fall off. It'll dry up too quick. Oh man, that water feels good. It'll dry up way too quick, guys. So you got to know when is too much. Like, if it's dripping like this, you can't put it on there. But this is going to absorb, because this pillar is about 105 degrees. As fast as I put this water on it, it's absorbing. Like this part here is in the sun. This one's dry already. So I got to keep hitting it. I'm pretty good at this stuff, so I'm just going to do it to prove a point. Now, there's another tip, guys. All right, so right here where I filled up these big monstrous holes, those are air pockets. I'm going to take a trowel now and scrape it off. That's just scraping it off. That way it's it'll accept the next coat without too much of a buildup. We don't want a huge buildup right there, guys. Now this one here, this side is ready. The little, okay, that side is dry as a bone. I'll start with this one, guys. And I'll tell you a few other things, guys, that are really important on colors and how to use a float. What's a float? I'll show you that in a minute. First, let me get this on while it's still wet. Now, this is gray. This is a gray base coat. Actually, I told Jay to add some more color just because I wanted to prove a point. I figured the darker the color, it'll show. All right, so this is ready to color coat, but it is going to absorb real quick, guys, because I haven't been hydrating it all day. So what we want to do is put that finish on it. And because we have the corners right here, we want to make those too. So there, that's this. Now, of course, you guys can't see this one back here. Anytime you got corners that are crooked, just build them up like this. Build them up, if they're crooked. But what I really want to point out is how to use a float, guys. Because we were doing a job about 4 months ago. And Jay comes up to me and says, Dad, you better come look at what your boy is doing. And I said, oh man, what's he doing? Jay says, well, he's slamming the float the wrong way. And it's taking him forever. He's going to add an extra hour to our job. And so I said, okay, let's go ahead and get that extra hour to the job. And Jay says, you mean you ain't going to go tell him? I said, I've told this dude like 5 times. He's like, well, why you keep working with him? I said, because he's the best hod carrier I ever met. He may not be able to float well, but he sure enough can hod carry. He's great. Jay says, well, what do you tell a guy with 2 black eyes? I said, I don't know, what? He says, nothing. He's already been told twice. Sounds like what you've been doing with this guy. Anyway, let me grab another scoopful. Now I want to show you what this guy was doing all day. And I just left it to him. I thought, nope, I am not going to tell him again because he'll get it. All of us will be there an extra hour, but I'd rather him learn. And you're never going to learn if you're not the contractor. So I'm the contractor, so I got to point stuff out like that, but at the same time, I have already told him, this is where a light's going to be right here. We just stuck some tape in there. Okay, so now that we have it colored, and again, I don't have to go all the way down because they're putting stuff on the bottom there. This is not going to show at the bottom. I'll show you how to use a float, and I'll show you how to use the bucket. And if you're doing dark colors, guy, I'll show you something really cool where all you stucco contractors, we know that if you're trying to match a dark color, what happens? It bleeds, it burns, and it comes out a lot of different colors, guys. When I was, I'm going to set these down. When I was working in the union, that was, that's just a group of guys working. We had about 15 crews, pump guys. We were behind a pump and they'd spray it. And they had these goofy little pieces of wire. And they were doing a dark color. They said, Kirk, use this piece of wire. And I said, it looks like a hanger. Why? And they said, well, we don't want you to do this. Slam your float down. Because if you do that, you bend the float inward like this. And that's what my buddy was doing. And I'm going to show you that with one of my crappy floats. And show you why you shouldn't do that. Instead, you take the float, you do this. You tap it, hit it hard on the inner part of the bucket. I mean hard, guys. Hit it hard. Don't mess around. Hit it hard because that gives this a curve the right way. We don't want it curved this way. If you hit it here, you're going to curve it the wrong way. Then you can't float this. So now this got water on it. You got to have water. So now this can be floated. And all that is we were bringing out the sand. Okay. I'm coming over here and I'm bringing out the sand. And what's tough here is the corners because we don't have corner aid on it. We're just eyeballing the corner. So you've got to pull into the corner. If I pull like this way away, I take the stucco off of the corner. We don't want to do that. So we leave that stucco right where it's supposed to be, on the corner. Nothing worse than coming to a job and the homeowners see it and all the corners are shown. So, okay, I'm just going to get this piece here, guys. You might not be able to see it. Well, you can't see this, but I got no choice but to hit it now because I'm going to lose it. And when I say lose it, that means it'll turn a different color if I don't do this. So again, you pull it into the corner, guys. Pull it into it. If I take this and I pull it into it, well, I'm good. I got one last piece. You guys can't see it over there. We're working on a minefield right here, so Jay doesn't want to trip, and I don't blame him. So that's how you do it, guys. But I want to show you something kind of interesting. Okay, this, we added extra color. Why did we add extra color? Because I wanted to prove a point, guys. And the point is, when you have a dark color, it doesn't matter if it's cementitious or if it's an acrylic. If you have a dark color and you dip that float in, like say, for example, I'm going to dip my float in the water and then I tap it out. I'm going to hit this twice. I'm going to hit this twice, but to prove a point. Okay, now I start here. Guess what? This area right here is going to be really light. This is going to be dark. Why? I just added water. It's like pouring Clorox on blue jeans. What's that mean right here? That means I got to skim coat it again. And that's okay. I got time. I got mud. I got energy. I'll show you what my buddy was doing, and don't do that. But before I show you what my buddy was doing, all you apprentice plasterers who are going to be doing this as a profession, if you're doing a cementitious, integrated color finish, or an acrylic, you've got to keep your float wet and clean, but also it can't be, say you're doing an acrylic or you're doing cementitious. If you're floating it, what happens is the float gets full. So what do you do when you have a full float? That means there's so much, let me use my crappy float. There's so much water on this that you don't want it to bleach the color, and you don't want to tap it out like this. You can do this. Just take a tennis racket. Now this gets all the stucco out because this will accumulate stucco. And when you try to do a float finish or a sand finish, we call it a float because we're using a float, but it's actually a sand finish. That's a sand finish because it's the sand is brought out. And I'm going to redo that. I can already see it bleaching. But that was to prove a point. You take a tennis racket, just tap it like this. So each time you're on a big wall, say 3 or 4 guys, big wall, 2-story. This will avoid all those color differences and shadows and all that. You take a tennis racket. And when I showed this guy about 40 years ago, they said, Kirk, there you go again, using a stupid trowel. You got the wrong trowel, now you're coming up with goofy ideas. These aren't goofy ideas. These work, guys, because you take that water, you will bleach that dark color, and that dark color is put on there for a reason. So you do this. And here's what I see my buddy doing. And Jay and I did have a good laugh, and we were there an extra hour, a whole crew. He kept doing this. Okay. Now, instead of tapping it out here, he was going like this. Now, when you do that, guys, look at that float. Look at it. And he was doing it all day. It kept coming by, and he was, because it was filling up with stucco. It doesn't matter if you do it acrylic or a cementitious finish. It doesn't matter if it's a dark color. There's only one color you can get away with. That's crystal white. Most people don't have crystal white, but you see how I just destroyed that float. And all day he kept doing this. He kept doing that, and I was watching him. We were laughing behind, and I just had time. Now, if you have a float that's crooked, cockeyed, and bent like a dog's hind leg, look at that. I mean, that's ridiculous. And you're trying to float something. Well, this where it's bent, I'm going to overemphasize the point, guys. Okay, you got something like that, and you're trying to float a wall. It doesn't work. So we were watching him. I'm thinking, man, we're going to be here an extra hour because of this fool. But I thought, I know this, and he's got to learn it. And he's got to learn it by making the mistake. So I didn't correct him. I already told him a few times anyhow. So I thought, at the end of the day, when everybody's like, damn, man, that took you a long time. I said, I'll tell you why after. But always, if you're doing a dark color, use a racket or tap it on the inside, guys. Never do that. I'm doing that angrily because He kept doing that, and it was pissing me off. Anyway, my name is Kirk. Jason on the camera. We thank you guys for watching, and as usual, we'll see you guys on the next one.
All right, folks, we've reached the end of another video. As always, we thank you for watching. If you enjoy what we're putting out for you guys, please like and subscribe to keep supporting us. And as usual, from the entire Giordano family, we'll see you on the next one.